Hello all, I'm starting with the first class and we'll start with environment. And before we dive into it, I need to tell you that this is kind of like a quick revision type of video. It'll cover all the essential things that you need to know for the exam, and you can use it very well before your exams, like a quick revision video. So this class specifically will deal with the basics of environment. Don't stress much over it and just know the basics. Okay, let's go. So environment is basically sum total of living and non-living components, and the study of interactions between these living non-living components is ecology. So now we know what is environment. It is sum total of living non-living components. We know what is ecology. It is the study of interactions between these components. Now we have levels of organization in ecology. Now starting with individual, organism with ability to function independently, to biosphere, part of earth where life can exist. And in between we have population, which is group of individuals usually of the same species. We have community, population of different species. So population is group of individual of the same species. Community is population of different species. Then we have ecosystem, which is the structural and functional unit of the biosphere, the last level, and it comprises of community of living beings and the physical environment. Then we have components of ecosystem. We have abiotic components, we have biotic components. Abiotic components, we have climatic factors, rain, wind, temperature, and we have edaphic factors, the soil, the minerals, the pH. And in biotic factors, biotic components, we have primary producers, we have consumers, we have decomposers. Now within consumers we have primary consumers, secondary consumers, we have tertiary consumers, and quaternary consumers. Now we're done with the components. We'll come to the functional unit of an ecosystem. It starts with productivity. It is the rate of biomass production. Then we have nutrient cycling, which is consumption and recycling of nutrients for utilization by various other organisms. We have energy flow, which is the sequential process through which energy flows from one trophic level to another. Then we have decomposition, which is the breakdown of dead organic material. So within ecosystem, these are the functional units. So it starts with productivity. There needs to be productivity, right? It is the rate of biomass production. Then we have nutrient cycling. We have energy flow, how the energy flows from one trophic level to the another. Then it finally ends with the decomposition, wherein there is breakdown of dead organic material. So till now we know what is environment, sum total of living non-living components. We know what is ecology, it is the study of interactions between these components. We know the levels of organization, individual, population, community, ecosystem, biosphere. Now within ecosystem we know the components of ecosystem, the biotic and the abiotic, and we have read about the functional units of ecosystem: productivity, nutrient cycling, energy flow, decomposition. Now we classify ecosystem into two types: man-made ecosystem and the natural ecosystem. In man-made ecosystem, we have garden, dams, cropland, and in natural ecosystems, we have terrestrial ecosystems, aquatic ecosystems. In terrestrial ecosystems, we know we have forest ecosystem, we have grassland ecosystem, we have desert ecosystem. In aquatic ecosystems, we have freshwater, we have marine ecosystem, we have running water, we have mangrove ecosystem. The freshwater ecosystem is less saline. Example is lake, pond. In a running water ecosystem, we have rivers, streams. Marine ecosystem, more saline, and it covers 70% of the Earth's surface. Marine ecosystem covers 70% of the Earth's surface. So we are done with the classification of ecosystems, which we classified into two parts, natural and man-made. Okay, so we'll come to biosphere. It is the part of Earth where life can exist. It is a highly integrated and interacting zone comprising of land, water, and air. It is approximately 20 kilometers thick, and most life occurs between 500 meters below the surface of the oceans and 6 kilometers above the sea level. Now we know what biosphere is, we know what ecosystem is. Now we have biome. It is a large geographical region which is characterized by a particular set of climatic conditions, plant and animal life. So within biosphere, we have biome, which is just a large geographical region which has a particular set of climate, plant and animal life. So we have biome. Now we'll come to habitat. It is the physical environment in which an organism lives. The habitat always have life in it, unlike environment. So it is a functional unit of environment. It always has life in it. We know what habitat is. I'll tell you what microhabitat is. Microhabitat is the conditions and organisms in the immediate vicinity of a plant or animal. So you can understand it with the small organisms, around a plant or an animal. It's a microhabitat. Done with habitat, which is the physical space occupied by an organism. Now we'll come to the functional space occupied by an organism, which we call it as niche. It is the unique role of a species within an ecosystem, and it includes the physical and biological conditions the species requires to survive and reproduce. So niche is the functional space of an organism. Okay, now the types of niche. We have fundamental niche, which says that organism could exist without ecological interactions. It is a fundamental niche. Organism could exist without ecological interactions. Then we have realized niche, which says that population exists in the presence of interactions and competition. From here you can understand there must be some niche overlap as well, that the co-occurring species share parts of their niche space with each other, and this may lead to competitive exclusion as per the Gauss law, that says that the species competing for the same limited resources cannot coexist at the same constant population values. So just to give a small recap, we know what is environment, we know what is ecology, we know what is the levels of organization in ecology, we know the components of ecosystem, we know the functional unit of ecosystem, we know what is biome, we know what is biosphere, we know what is habitat, we know what is niche, and the types of niche and the co-occurring species sharing part of their niche space, we call it niche overlap, and this may lead to competitive exclusion as per the Gauss law. And this niche overlap is reduced by resource partitioning, wherein the species alter their use of the niche to avoid competition by dividing resources among them. Alright, now we'll come to ecotone. It is the zone of junction between two or more diverse ecosystems. It is a zone of junction between two or more diverse ecosystems. We call it ecotone. And there is richness in biodiversity due to the edge effect. Example, you could take grassland between desert and forest, mangrove forest between marine and terrestrial, estuaries between freshwater saltwater. And there are a few characteristics of ecotone. It is linear in nature, so there is progressive increase in species composition of one incoming community and simultaneous decrease in the species composition of the other outgoing adjoining community. And the species that are adapted to survive in ecotone or the edge effect areas, we call them ecotypes. Example, you could take Royal Bengal tiger and Krai camel. Okay, then we're done with the ecotone, ecotype. Now I'll tell you about ecoline. It is gradual transition between two ecosystems. Ecotone was sharp boundary between the two ecosystems, and in ecoline we have gradual transition. So no sharp boundary. It's like a gradual transition. Like example could be attitudinal ecoline, the mountain slope gradient, wherein you see changes in vegetation and species along a mountain slope. So there is no sharp boundary, there is gradual transition. Another example could be latitudinal ecoline, which is there's gradual change in ecosystems from equator to the poles. So we know ecoline, we know ecotone, we know ecotype, which is the population of species that differs genetically from other population of the same species because of the local conditions in the area. All right. And the example of ecotype I told you, Royal Bengal tiger, Krai camel. Then do you remember I told you about the energy flow, wherein the functional unit of ecosystem, wherein I told you that it is a sequential process through which energy flows from one trophic level to another. So this trophic level is a representation of energy flow in the ecosystem. And coming to the energy in the ecosystem, let me tell you that plants absorb less than 1% of sunlight that reaches them. And these photosynthetic organisms make 170 billion metric tons of food each year. And two processes are involved, photosynthesis and respiration. So we're done with the energy in the ecosystem. We have primary producers, we have consumers, we have decomposers. There's a small difference between decomposers and detrivores. Detrivores degrade organisms through digestion. The dead and decaying organisms, they degrade them through digestion. So they help in the process of decomposition. The decomposers, they secrete chemicals to decompose the dead and decaying organisms. So example of decomposers would be bacteria, fungi, and the example of detrivores would be worms, crabs, earthworms, millipedes, etc. So basically, these detrivores help in the process of decomposition. They are detritus feeders. Decomposers finish the job and they convert the dead and decaying matter into inorganic compounds, which gets released in the atmosphere and gets further used by the producers, and the process, it gets recycled. So it forms a chain. What is food chain? It is a sequence of organisms that feed on one another. It is the process of transfer of food energy, and it is always linear, unidimensional flow of energy. Food web is multidimensional flow of energy. Food chain is linear, unidimensional flow of energy. Food web illustrates the interdependence of organisms in an ecosystem, and it is more stable than food chain. There is also this law of 10% by Raymond Lindman, I'm sorry about it, which says that from one trophic level to another, only biomass gets transferred, and not all energy obtained gets converted to biomass. Only 10% of the energy obtained is used to make biomass. Hence, food chains have 5 or less links, as 90% of the energy is lost at each level, and it gets lost in the production of heat, energy, and movement. This is the small concept of ecological pyramids, which is the graphical representation of these trophic levels. There is pyramid of energy, which is always upright because as you move up, less energy is available, the 10% rule. And this loss is due to the laws of thermodynamics. So it is pyramid of energy is always upright. We have pyramid of biomass, which is graphical representation of the amount of living organic matter or biomass in each trophic level. The largest biomass is at the base of the pyramid, and successively smaller biomass at each higher level. Not always a perfect pyramid. We have aquatic pyramid of biomass, which is inverted biomass pyramid. This is not upright. This is an inverted biomass pyramid. The reason for it is that the phytoplankton survive for 2 to 3 days, the zooplankton for 7 to 8, small fish for 15 to 20, and the higher level sharks, they survive for 10 years. So automatically the pyramid goes inverted because more biomass gets accumulated in the sharks. We have pyramid of number, which shows number of organisms at each trophic level of food chain. Alright, these were the basics. You don't need to go much into details for this topic. You can just listen to it once and memorize the few important details. Rest I'll deal in the other class. Alright, bye bye.